What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you guys are looking for more content from the channel, check out our members only page as well. We got lots of exclusive videos, some live streams, some cool stuff going on the members only page. So consider becoming a member if you're looking for more content. So today we're actually diving into a viewer question. And they had asked about CHATTERBAIT models. You know, if you look at the CHATTERBAIT lineup, there is overwhelming amount of options. You know, not even talking about other brands. I'm specifically just talking about the Z-Man CHATTERBAIT brand. There is endless options on baits that you can be throwing, and really it gets a little bit overwhelming. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the models that I use and the models I keep in my boat, why I use them, what I like about them, what I don't like about them. We're gonna dive into all that good stuff to hopefully help you guys narrow down your selection whenever you're looking to buy some tackle, whether it's at Fish USA or wherever you like to buy your tackle. Whenever you're looking to buy some chatterbaits, hopefully we can narrow down your selection a little bit, help keep things simple, and in turn, help you guys catch some more bass out on the water. That's what this channel is all about, is helping you guys catch more bass when you get out on the water. So hopefully you can do that with some information from this video. Okay, let's just jump right in. So, you know, like I said, there is a ton of different options when it comes to choosing a chatterbait. You know, probably the most popular, the one that I probably throw the most is gonna be just the jackhammer. You know, that's probably the gold standard of chatterbaits right there, is the evergreen jackhammer. But once you get into the weeds, there's so many other options. You know, there's obviously the Evo option, which is, you know, this is the lead version, this is the tungsten version, so you got a couple versions of that. You got the baby jackhammer, which is a small version of the jackhammer, just a trimmed down version. And then you got another bait, which would be the Mini Max. So that's another version of a chatterbait. And really those are the, what would that be, 5 options here that I keep in my boat and I throw regularly. And honestly, each one of these is specific or a little bit different as far as the action, the sound, the vibration, and when I want to be throwing them. So hopefully this video can help you guys narrow down your selection on a chatterbait. So, like I said, the jackhammer is the one I throw the most. That is gonna be my everyday, you know, fishing grass, skipping docks, things like that. I'm going with the jackhammer. And what I like about the jackhammer is it has a very erratic action. That's not really necessarily the case with some of these other models. So if you're looking for that real erratic action, fishing in grass, fishing, you know, fish that are highly pressured, the jackhammer really has that erratic action, pops out of grass well, and really creates some of those reaction strikes. Now, another thing that is a little bit different on each one of these models is going to be the color options. So that is, you know, why I choose some of these over the other, is we'll dive into that, is some of the color options available. But the jackhammer, tried and true. I mean, you can't go wrong with the jackhammer. You can literally cast it out right out of the package, put a trailer on there, put a little Zaco on there, cast it out, wind it in, and it's gonna catch fish. You can do so many different things with it. You can vary your retrieve, you can just straight retrieve, cast and wind, vary your trailers. This bait is, you know, obviously all around the best choice, but it's not for everybody. It's an extremely expensive bait, let's be real. So if you're looking for more of a, you know, cost-friendly option, you have the CHATTERBAIT Evo. So this is the same, it's a lead head design. It's very similar shaped to the jackhammer, but there's a couple things that are a little bit different on the Evo. So right off the bat is the color options. There's a few color options available in the Evo that aren't available in the jackhammer, and some of them I like extremely well. Like they have a really good bluegill color. This one here is Bama Brim, so it's a beautiful color that's not really made in the jackhammer. And what I like about the Evo is some of the blade options as well. You know, not necessarily the skirt color, but the blades are, you know, painted, or some of them are copper or gold, different colors than you get in the other models. So that's why I choose some of the Evos. You get a very similar action to the jackhammer, but it's a little toned down. It's not quite as erratic. It's more of a, kind of a straight shimmy, but it does have a little bit of that erratic action. You got to really work it. I found that, the Evo has a little bit bigger hook than the jackhammer. So putting a little bit bigger trailer on the Evo works really well. Now, if you want to try something a little bit different, say you're fishing an area that's been heavily pressured with a lot of chatterbaits. You can throw this one, the tungsten Evo, and it's actually going to make a different sound when that blade hits against the head, because tungsten's a little bit harder than lead. So it's going to make a totally different sound and a little bit different vibration than the Evo or the jackhammer. So the tungsten Evo is a bait that, I always keep on deck. If I'm fishing an area, if I was planning on, throwing a chatterbait for a good portion of the day, if that was the main pattern I was on, I would have probably a jackhammer and a tungsten Evo side by side, and I would alternate between those two just to try and trigger a different fish with a different sound or a different vibration. So that's another one that stays in my boat, in my box. The tungsten, like I said, it makes a different sound. It's a little bit smaller. So in turn, that could actually help you skip the bait a little bit better if you want, but it makes that profile a little bit smaller. But the main thing I'm looking for out of that tungsten head is going to be the noise that it makes. Okay, so those are probably the ones that get used the most for me, would be whether it's the Evo or the jackhammer. Those are like my day-to-day, chatterbait fishing in grass, around cover, whatever it may be. But there's a time whenever you want to kind of tone that action down a little bit and get a smaller profile. And that's when you have either the Baby Jack or the Mini Max options. Where'd my Mini Max go? Right here. So these are very similar baits. The Mini Max has been around a little bit longer. The Baby Jack just came out this year. But the Baby Jack is basically a scaled down version of the jackhammer. Everything looks identical. It's got the eye on the head, the blades look the same, the hooks, very similar, just a scaled down version. The Mini Max is a little bit different. It actually has a little bit stouter hook than the Baby Jack. So this hook's a little bit wider or heavier gauge. Then the Baby Jack has a very thin diameter hook. But honestly, even these two baits have a totally different vibration, definitely than the jackhammer or the Evo, but then each other as well. So these two baits, the Baby Jack and the Evo, I've found they are more of like your straight retrieve type baits. These baits aren't going to be very erratic and dancing around. These are going to be a very straight retrieve, almost like something you would throw a crankbait on. It feels very similar to a crankbait vibration because that bait is just tracking true every single time. And whereas with the jackhammer, I like that bait to be dancing and darting and going wild. So this is a bait, if you're looking for just cleaner water, shallower water. That's the other thing that I like about the Baby Jack or the Evo, not the Evo, I keep saying the Evo, the Mini Max, is there is a 1/4 ounce size. So you can throw a lighter bait over shallower water or, over top of shallower grass and, not sink down into that grass. But it's a totally different vibration. And the main key between these two is it tracks very true. It is not gonna have that erratic action. It's gonna track super true and have just a steady vibration the whole way back. So there's definitely times where you want to be throwing a Mini Max or a Baby Jack. Now these two, I haven't really found a time and a place where I prefer one versus the other. For me, the Baby Jack is a little bit higher quality. You got better colors and I like the little bit thinner hook diameter than the Mini Max. But both of these baits are great choices if you're looking to downsize your profile and have that very true action. One option would be colder water. It's just a different vibration in that colder water that's not very loud or erratic. That's when you can throw the Mini Max and or the Baby Jack and catch you a few extra fish. So hopefully I helped narrow it down. These are the models that I'm throwing in my boat. These are the ones that I keep loaded in the boat every time I go out. And like I said, if I'm going out on a chatterbait pattern, and I think I'm gonna be throwing a chatterbait. I may have one of each of these rigged up and alternate between the two and see which one the fish want that day. You know, there's no set reasoning or set pattern or set bait that you need to be throwing in this condition. You gotta let the fish tell you what you want. But these are the ones that I have in my boat that I use, so hopefully this will help it narrow it down for you guys. I know there's tons of options out there, and it can kind of be overwhelming. So you can choose any of these right here, and I can put a guarantee that these are fish catchers, and you will catch some bass on these baits right here. So appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Hopefully you learned something. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Let me know if you agree, disagree, all that good stuff down in the comments down below. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time.